I need to be open to everything. I need to be open to director's notes. I need to be open to how other actors work. I need to be open to their behavior off camera. I need to be open to all these things, and I try not to be influenced by much of it. I don't have expectations. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm getting into today. That's the best way to approach it, because otherwise you're really fucking yourself over.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Spenser Granese is an actor. He sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have a way that you typically step into a new character? Do you have a typical road you go down to try and wrap your arms around this new person that you have to play?
I mean, it's different for everyone, right? I think that acting for me has always been a pretty lucid process. I think that it's all instinct for me. So I think what I typically do, like almost every script, unless it's playing a real person, I just skim the script for the first time. I skim the side, I skim the script. I take it in and process it a little bit, but I don't make any concrete decisions. I don't try to add inflection or tone or anything to anything. And I try to let whatever has entered my brain kind of build organically in my subconscious. And the hope is that, and most of the time it works, that it floods into the conscious. And once I start feeling it in that space, then I can really kind of start to break things down and dissect and get to like the marrow of the character. And then I'll start, and then that just starts connecting to the scenes that I need to do as well. And yeah, I don't know.
So there's like that sliding is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Or you expect it. Like, you know what I mean? So you're not doing any work to kind of move that from the unconscious to the...
There are times that I do. It just depends on the role.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's never the same, really. Like, I will start it that way, and then if it doesn't feel right, then I'll take another angle.
Yeah.
But that's typically how I start things, because I just don't... Being malleable is everything in this craft,
Yeah.
And so I don't ever want to get stuck. And so if I start to do that over and over and do it a certain way, then I'm just going to get stuck in that way. And it's hard for me to shake. And I started that way as an actor.
I was going to say, you must have started that way.
Oh,
right?
I absolutely did. I would practice, and like the beats and everything was on point. And like, it still was like, it got me into like, I took a couple acting classes. I'm not formally trained at all. I didn't start acting until I was 30 years old, and but I knew that from like starting to audition and like being in class, I was like also just studying other people and being like, they're stuck, they're doing the same exact way. I kind of do that too, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so I really worked against it and started to just hone it a different way, and be clay.
Yeah. It's funny. You tried to avoid acting, right? You wanted to kind of just be around film and do film stuff, right? And you tried to do other jobs with film. Kind of like, you almost actively tried, you're like, this is going to be too hard to be an actor. Let me do this, and then you finally were like, fuck, I guess I have to be an actor because this is what I really want, right?
Wow, you really nailed that, man.
I heard you talk about this.
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known since I was 5 years old that I wanted to be an actor. I've known it in my fucking core.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite book when I was like in 4th grade was Roger Ebert's top 500 movie reviews. And I would go through and like highlight actors and like, I don't know why, you know? And I was just so obsessed with it, and like, I would watch movies constantly, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I never believed I could do it. Right. And, I think it was no fault of my family or whatever, but it was never an encouragement that I could do that or like follow a dream, something like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of just killed the dream dead, like
Yeah.
for a long time. And, you know, when I was in high school, I got asked by my friend if I wanted to try a drama class. I was like, that shit's for nerds. I was like starting to smoke weed and skateboard and listen to punk rock. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And then, but deep down, I was like, oh man, that sounds like it'd be kind of fun, you know, but I wouldn't let anybody know.
Yeah.
And so I just, it lived within me forever. And then I moved around. I fucked off a lot. I just played in punk bands. I was a bartender, booked shows, you know. And I thought that was how it was going to end for me. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was bartending and doing that, like playing in bands. And I was like, this can't be it. No, this can't be it. And I actually ended up working as a PA on this music video because the manager of my bar, her husband owned a production company. And she's like, do you want a PA on this music video? And at the time I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but yeah, that sounds great. And I got to this set locking up a fucking house. That's it. But it was on set of this music video of some pop star. And I was electrified.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, this has always been a thing. I need to like, okay, so acting.
What was it about that though? Was it just the idea that the camera was around, things were being captured?
It's just the energy of a set.
Yeah,
you know, it's just how everybody was moving and just kind of the hive of it, you know, and feeling like you're a part of something that felt special to me at the time. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to move to New York and I'm going to work in crew. And I'm going to I'll start in production. Then I went from production, I went to locations, I went to art department, I tried AD work. And how you worded it is exactly what happened. I went, fuck, it's acting. It's always been acting. And I have to go back to bartending to figure this shit out. You know? But you nailed that. It was pretty hard.
So when you do say, okay, it's got to be acting. So like, what did you think you needed to get that ball going? You know what I mean? Because if you hit one of these other jobs and you're like, I love this art direction stuff, you know, there would be a clear path. You would just have to get those kind of jobs. It's not a clear path when you realize, actually, I do want to be an actor, because there's different ways to go about this.
Oh my God,
especially
absolutely.
when you're 30 years old.
30, yeah. I mean, I did the thing that everybody does. You have to do. You get on backstage, you get an actor's access, you try to do student films or whatever to put a reel together and hope that you can send this to a rep that your friend knows and, you know, they like you enough or see something in you. And I've never done stage work ever. And that's something I want to do at some point, but it was all just like, okay, film and television is the goal. And I was just grinding, man. I was just going to auditions. I lost so many bar jobs because I couldn't get my shift covered, and they were like, well, you have to. And I'm like, well, then I quit because I have to go do this. Like, I've been kicked out of apartments because I couldn't pay rent because I had to go. I was trying to make it work. I've made a lot of sacrifices, which you have to when you're pursuing this career. You know? So it wasn't easy by any means. And you know,
what was it that happened? There must have been something that happened where you were like, okay, I'm good at this. It's not just a thing I want to do. Was there something that happened like that in this time?
Yeah. I got really close to a lot of things right off the bat. I got a manager probably a year and a half into pursuing.
Wow.
And they started getting me into rooms. And I got close to a lot of things, like a lot of callbacks, pins, like, you know, and I was always so close, but never got it. And I just had no credits, you know? And, but honestly, getting those made me be like, I have something. There's something that I'm not crazy. I'm not delusional. Like something is working here because they called me back. And that was kind of like the inception point of feeling like I believe in myself that I can do this. And then there's been so many other things since then that it's just further enforces that validation and that
it's like, it is validation. It's like you're on the right path. Like, keep doing this. Did you realize, okay, there's a formula to auditioning here? Did you cultivate a way to deal with auditioning in this time that worked?
Yeah, I was always, I think like most actors, you're just feeling sick and your nerves are shot. And I mean, there would be times I would like dry heave in a bathroom before I went in. I would somehow get those jobs, you know, and I'd be like, I'm gonna fuck it. This is not gonna work. But I think for me, going in the room, and you learn over time, like it's like that. I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna go in. I'm not gonna talk so fucking much. I'm gonna go in and be like, how you doing? And then just black out, do the thing, come to, and be like, thanks so much, and leave. I think there's something to be said about leaving an air of mystery in the room, which you don't get to do anymore. Self-tapes just took some time to get used to.
Yeah.
But like, I know people who just they can't grasp it. They're like, I don't know how to do this. And I just put a lot of work because I'm like, well, if this is the medium now, I have to figure this out, you know? And at this point now, I almost prefer it because at first I would like, too many takes, you know, and like you have too much agency over your audition. And I don't love that part about self-tapes is I love that you get 3 chances max in the room and like they worry about the frame and all that shit. And you just do your job, just do the work and that's it. I do miss that, but I've become, I feel pretty comfortable with self-tapes at this point. You know?
And what about when you started to land a lot of stuff and you're going to these sets and sometimes these shows have been going on for a while and there you are just popping in to do your one part and this one day or 2 days or whatever, a couple episodes sometimes. How were you navigating that idea of having to figure out how to work in the way that you work best on these sets that are already going, these kind of machines that are already running?
Well, that all comes back to malleability, right? Yeah. So that all comes back to just being like, okay, I know what my part is on this today. Or, you know, I know what my arc is in this and I know that I need to just approach this. I need to be open to everything, you know? I need to be open to director's notes. I need to be open how other actors work. I need to be open to their behavior, off camera. I need to be open to all these things and I try not to be influenced by much of it.
Right.
I don't have expectations. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm getting into today.
Right.
That's the best way to approach it because otherwise you're really fucking yourself over.
Yeah.
I do not go into it expectations. I go into it knowing that I know my lines enough. Yeah. I don't even know my lines. There's times where I'm like, I will read it and I know them, but if it gets to like kind of on the cusp of, do I remember them? That's the best place for me.
Oh, interesting.
Because then it comes out, it's just a lot more, it allows you to be more malleable.
Yeah.
It allows things to come out differently every time. Because I just don't want anything to feel rehearsed ever, you know? Yeah, and so...
Well, that could be kind of scary too, though, right? I mean,
it's horrifying.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
you're like that. You're dancing on the You're on the tightrope of both the security of your lines, but also the security of the way you're doing it are both not secure, and so, but you know that's the right way to approach this because the energy of that not knowing is what you're working with in the moment.
Exactly. And it took me a while to get to that because in the beginning that terrified me so deeply that I was like, I can't, like I have to show them, it has to be perfect, it has to be blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, nothing needs to be perfect. Fuck perfection. I'm just gonna go do whatever comes out of me that feels real. That's what I want to do. And if I fucking forget a line, whatever, you'll get to it. You'll stop, start again.
Yeah.
And it takes time to get to that place, you know. And I've only been doing this for realistically like 8 or 9 years now, you know. And so I know there's so much more for me to learn, and I'm really excited about that for myself and to add more tools to my box.
Yes. Let's talk about Barry because it's interesting how you loved this show and you wanted to be on this show and kept hounding your representatives.
Every season.
Please, every single season, please find me. And then they were like, how about this guy? He just has one line. You're like, no!
Nope, absolutely not. Well, to a certain point too at this, and I just believe that, it's kind of a side note, I think that trajectory is everything in this business.
Yeah.
If you have, it depends on where your sights are set.
Yeah.
Right? I think that at some point you have to, for me personally, I said 5 co-stars, no more. And like, because I just said like, I need to do that, and I know that I want more than this, and so after that, I can't do it anymore. And what that did was I was working a lot, and then didn't work for a year and a half because you have to like be seen a different way a lot of the times, you know? And so I feel like the trajectory is everything. And so I'm very picky even now with what I take.
Yeah, that's the way you gotta be.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
I won't just take jobs to keep my health insurance. I won't. I'll turn down things because I just can't connect to the character. And I'll give it time. But if I can't, even if it's a great project, I'm like, this isn't right, and it's not for me. And thankfully, you know, my reps.
That's cool. But do you think like something's going to happen if you do something that you think is not right for you, but others think is right for you? If you take that, is something going to happen, do you think, to your process or something when you're not reaching something that you know, is that what it is?
I think sometimes listen, there's definitely obviously times where they're like, no, that's, you have to read for this, you know, and like, this is not like, this is a really good opportunity. And most of the time I know what it is, you know, from doing my research and stuff on the audition or job. But
you don't need to keep pushing something you know shouldn't be pushed.
Unless it's a challenge. Like I love challenges, everything for me. So if I get something to say, oh, it's this, and you're playing this type that you played 4 times before, I don't. That's not, doesn't interest me. You know, I want to keep continuing to push what kind of roles I can play, especially being, you know, tattooed actor and stuff too. I think that's a thing that I've actively worked against because I started getting tattooed when I was like 17 years old, and it's a part of who I am, and I'll kind of never stop. There's within reason, obviously, but for me, even now, like I won't use my tattoos in shows. Like for Barry, going back to Barry, I remember Bill saying we really like your tattoos of the character. I said, oh, I don't use my own tattoos. Wow. And he was like, oh, okay, well, we'll just cover them up and put fake ones on top. Wow. You know, and it's like, and I realized throughout the years that this can happen. This is doable, you know? And when I remember in the makeup chair talking about them, most makeup artists, like, everybody has them. That's not a big deal. Like sometimes you have a lot, it's a pain in the ass, but it's okay. It's still like, you have the job, you know? I just never want to be boxed in that way. And I'm actively working against it.
But that must have taken a little bit of courage to say to Bill Hader, you know, I'm not using these. You know, and to stick to your guns with that. You know, I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool. I mean, but just knowing that it could be done, it's like you must get annoyed when people are like, oh, well, this is a problem. This is going to be a problem. Like, no, it's not, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, and there was a time, like, I won't go into crazy details, but there was, I lost essentially what was the biggest job in my career due to my tattoos.
I remember we were conversing about that.
Yeah. Fuck. And that was a brutal time, and that was it was sobering. But I understood why, because I was going to be essentially half naked for half of the movie, and it was going to be a pain in the ass. You know, but I feel they should have done their due diligence before they gave me the job. That it's to save heartache for everyone and pain for everyone. But you know,
and it's a learning lesson. Well, it's doubly painful because you know that if they really wanted to, though, they didn't have to. They could deal with it.
Yes, absolutely.
It could be dealt with. But that's so cool that they for this character, they re-tattooed you kind of with this guy's tattoos. And what is it like to have other tattoos on? Like, is it like putting on other clothes?
Kind of, yeah. It's like I'll look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that's not mine. It's kind of like I love more than anything when they cover my tattoos and don't put anything on them. I'm like, that feels weird, but I actually don't like it. I'm like, this doesn't feel like me.
So you spin that into, okay, that this is what the character feels like.
Absolutely. It's so important for me a lot of the times. Like it's to kind of separate from myself too, because it is kind of like it grounds you into yourself to see the artwork that you know well, you know, and I want to be separated from that. And so I I just never want to be tattooed actor guy. You know, I have, in my opinion, too much to offer. To be that.
Yeah, absolutely.
When a role comes in the last season of Barry, that you're like, okay, that's the one I want to pull the trigger for.
Oh yeah.
What was it like auditioning for that, knowing like this is the last season?
Yeah, I know.
And this is something you've been wanting to get on.
The pressure I felt, and just doing a tape with my friend Allie, it was like the pressure I put on myself for it was pretty immense. And usually I can be like, all right, we're just gonna do our thing, and you know. And this one, I think we did a good amount of takes for it, and I hate to admit it because I like to do as little as possible. But this one, I was so I have to get this part. I have to be on the show. It was my favorite show at the time, you know. And I was like, I know that I'm right for this, the world that this lives in. Like I have to get this.
Yeah.
And
this usually doesn't work.
No, never, dude, never.
Somebody who wants something this bad like that and has that much pressure, nope.
After I left her house taping, I was like, well, I pushed too much into the universe, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get it, and I'm like, it's not gonna happen, you know, and because that's what I know, and also it's my favorite show.
Right.
You never get your fucking favorite show. No, so that when I got that call, I leapt out of bed for sure. You know, that was like. Yeah, that was a dream.
And you were saying that this is a good set, right? These are
best set I ever worked on.
Is it a top-down kind of thing?
Yes.
Is it hater? Yeah.
He treats everyone like my first day of rehearsal, Bill just treated me like an old friend. You know, it was like we had known each other for a while. You know, and it kind of went that way with everyone. Like. Writer and producer Duffy Boudreau, like he also was the same way, and him and Bill grew up together since they were like 15 years old, you know, and it was so welcoming and so encouraging. There was, you know, there'd be a note maybe like, just try it this way, or like, now do it your way. Now, you know, there was so much agency that I had with that character on that set. Like one of my favorite things that happened on that job was there's a scene with me and Sally, and we're sitting across in the diner, right? And it's said in the script that we're drinking beers. And I was like, I want to foreshadow what's about to happen to him in the bathroom. And so I'm like, he's this little boy who's masquerading as like this tough, badass motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, I actually don't want to be drinking a beer. I want to be drinking chocolate milk with a straw.
You're the one who said, wow.
Yeah. And I brought that up, and Bill really liked it and sent someone out to get chocolate milk. And
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, and that was and just drinking that chocolate milk with a straw made me feel like a little fucking child, you know? And like it helped me to get to I can't remember the sequence. We shot the bathroom scene first day. Whoa! Yeah, we shot that the first day that I worked.
Wow.
So we went back and then we shot the diner thing, but I needed to have that little boy energy. So when we got to the bathroom, that it would just
You're kind of retroactively like leading up to what you did.
Exactly.
Like in a way.
Yeah.
Knowing you needed that to get to what you did.
That's
so cool. And it's so cool that he took that from this person who's there just for this one character, you know, but it's such a great idea though. He'd be an idiot. But oh my God, man, that's so cool. And so that gives you so much. Even we keep saying agency, and there maybe is a better word. You feel like you're a part of the creative
it's
team.
collaborative.
It's collaborative.
Yes.
This is the way. This is what we need out of this art, right? Like this is when people come alive. Yeah. They come alive with this.
Yeah.
It's not like he wrote it, he's directing it, but he knows enough to like change that for that and then give you what you need to make that come alive.
Exactly. And he hires people that, you hope the director hires people that they trust, you know, and they trust you to make choices like that,
right?
And come with ideas like that, you know.
Right.
He really did. It was a lot of freedom on that set, and it was just such a unicorn of a set for me.
Yeah.
Just from like the top to everyone else, like it was just It was my favorite job. I guess that's it. Yeah.
And you're so good in that
thanks, man.
That role, bro.
Appreciate it.
But what was it like doing that bathroom scene first, though?
Yeah.
Because there you are on your favorite show, in this weird scene that you have to, with this actor that you've been watching for 3 seasons.
I know, I really admire
Yeah.
and like I just really respect her.
Were you ever in a scene like that?
Never. That was my first on-screen kiss.
Whoa!
Was that scene?
Whoa!
First one, man. Yeah, and I was like, wow. I guess it's kind of fitting that I'm just gonna be choked. Like it's like afterwards, not some romantic like you know rom-com shit. Yeah, but Sarah Goldberg, she's so professional and she's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And that I didn't feel really nervous.
That's amazing.
And we had an intimacy coordinator on set with us and basically just said, place hands here, you know, here's some gum, don't use tongue. There we go. You know, and like, that was it.
That's it,
But me and Sarah just like, we just got along really well and she really made me feel so comfortable that I was just like, because I mean, I was a little nervous, like, okay, we're doing a one-take shot of this, you know, and it's my favorite show. There was a lot of like factors, but because Bill and Sarah were so encouraging and so like, they weren't overbearing in any way. It was just so professional. And I was like, let's go for it, you know? And we got that scene in, I think, 3 takes.
Amazing. What is the deal with this prosthetic penis that wasn't used? Why didn't they use a prosthetic penis? I'm almost afraid to ask this question.
Well, Bill just 86'd it on the day. It was I mean, clearly without, you know, that was obviously the most awkward fitting I've ever had. It was, we tried different underwears and different prosthetic.
This is just, it had to be a bulge.
Yeah,
right?
it was just a bulge. It was going to be showing
bulge.
a bulge. It was kind of like, instead of putting her foot in my lap, it was going to be showing her the bulge.
I see.
That was it.
I see.
And then Bill was like, I don't think we need to show it.
Yeah.
And just boop, gone. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Good. I think and the way he did it was perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
It probably would have been too much.
It would have been too much.
Yeah.
Even for that show, I was like, you're going to show it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and then the way it ended up, I was like, nah, that makes more sense to me,
Yeah.
You know?
But this is a moment not many people are in with costume, where you have people where you're having to crack jokes about penises, and they're actually fitting them in your pants.
Yeah, we're all just laughing.
Oh, okay.
The whole time we're all just laughing. I mean, it was early
like,
morning, you know.
Do you worry about like, should I be laughing too? Like, it's like this. No,
we're all laughing. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
What the fuck are we doing? You know, it's like, this is ridiculous. What we do as a job is ridiculous. You know, it really when you break it down to the core, it's fucking silly.
Yeah.
But I love it. You know, and like, as long as we're on the same page, great.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Right. It's not like you're the one who's bringing in a plastic penis.
No.
Making
Oh,
jokes.
what? No, that's psychotic. They should escort me off the lot at that point. Just know your place.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. And I think that a lot of, it just seems people don't do that, you know, and they speak out of turn, or they like asking actors for selfies in photos and stuff. I'm like, I see that with other people and I'm like, what are you doing?
No.
Like people were like, oh, you work with Tom Hanks, you didn't take a picture? I'm like, absolutely fucking not. I want this motherfucker to maybe hire me in the future as a producer, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that puts me here. And yes, of course, he's iconic, but I want to feel like we are equals. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You have to, because otherwise
you're
putting yourself,
So accomplishing what you set out to do, I mean, that's huge. That you're like, your favorite show, I want to get on it. You got a memorable role, you know, on this show. How do you work that kind of success into helping you keep this whole thing going?
Well, the shitty part about that is within 2 months, strike happened.
Oh, right.
So it did buoy things, and I did feel like there was a lot of momentum building. I just came off of an Apple series right before that aired, and like I was like, okay, like this is gonna be, all right, we're gonna move, and then the strike happened, and it just kind of felt like not the momentum has been stunted because we're just starting to get back into it now.
Yeah.
But like it did.
Yeah.
It went from May until December.
Yeah.
And like, so all that, like where you did feel like it was going to buoy you, you're like, well, it just took me back under.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it made enough of an impression on, and I got messages from certain people and stuff like that made me feel like, oh shit, like this is really being seen. And like for the first time, maybe, I mean, there's been a couple times, but like, people recognizing me or something from Barry. And I'm like, okay, like people watch this fucking show, especially people in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm hoping that just carries over in some way and they'll be like, oh yeah.
It's got
but
what is something that you not only can do in terms of a character, in terms of a type of performance, but you can do well that nobody knows yet, that you maybe got a glimpse of and want to do more of and know you can?
I mean, I know that I want to play the other side of the law. I've definitely played characters that aren't criminals or villains or delinquents, but few and far between, right?
Yeah.
And I know, like, I've auditioned for doctors, cops. Like, as much as I don't fuck with police, I want to play one so badly.
Yeah.
Because I just want to play the complete antithesis of what I usually do.
Yeah.
And so I know that I could play like a good like rookie cop or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like kind of the top of the list, which is interesting because of my own beliefs in the world. But like, it just feels, it would be so satisfying to be like, just show people that if you cut my hair, you give me a clean shave, you cover all my tattoos, I'm capable of this,
Yeah.
And then I guess also the other one I really was excited about was the job that I had mentioned that I lost because I was playing an Olympic rower in the 1930s. And that was like, okay, that's completely different from anything. I'm not even fucking athletic really, There was a lot that was gonna have to be done to get me to a place physically. But I just want to play the good guy, but not the boring good guy. I don't want to play, I don't want to be the straight man. I don't, that doesn't interest me. I don't want to be the dad, like, unless it's in a cool project with like people that I really respect or I'm working opposite someone that I can't believe I get to work with. Those are all factors that play into that. But I'd love to just be like, I don't know, good dude.
Because you are working initially with this foundation of unconscious work and trying to have that into your body. Every time you open up a script, you're entering something into that instrument, right? And do you feel like you have to cultivate some kind of existence to keep this thing fresh?
No. Absolutely not.
I didn't even get the question out.
No, I don't. I like I said, it's very lucid for me. So I don't, like, I'll watch movies. Like that's my fucking sanctuary. That's my class. It always, since I was a kid, and like I've taken classes, like I took a class over the summer, right? Just to like do something. And it didn't really fucking do anything.
Interesting.
For me. Like I've tried private coaching to see if, okay, let's see if I can get something. And I feel too influenced and I feel like I start overthinking things. And I'm like, I have to operate on my instincts. Like my instincts have gotten me this far. So I have to just keep trusting that. And so like, watching movies is basically it. Because I was worried about, especially the strike, right? Like my last tape was in June. And then my next one was in December. And I was worried I was gonna be rusty. I was like, am I gonna remember how to do this? I don't know. Because I hadn't done shit. And I just clicked, just right in, and it felt almost easier. It felt almost like I could tap in just like, I don't know, it just felt like I had an in easier than I have before. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's just not putting weight putting weight on the craft and weight on yourself, and just being like, okay, like I trust my instinct.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Do not lose that.
No.
Do not let anyone fuck with that.
Nope. I haven't. Yeah.
If you have that, because a lot of people are trying to get something like that to operate in. Or they're trying to lose things. That's part of the great process. Losing things to operate with those tools.
Yeah,
because we all have instinct, but we have stuff on top of it.
Exactly. And there's times like, you know, I feel like I will operate on my instinct, and then there have been several times where I'm like, I'm gonna go try. Just see. I'm gonna go try working with this private coach, that coaches, these people that I respect, just because like I'm like, I need to know that I'm in good hands and see what happens, see what comes out. And it's been a very rare time where I feel like I'm in my body when I do it, because I'm thinking about things too much. And I just need it to come from here, you know? It's all in the gut for me. And I'm just like, I think that sometimes I fantasize about being like, oh, I have a coach with me all the time. And I'm like, I don't know if I need it, you know? And I think that sounds, when you say that to people, they're like, yeah, okay, that's really like pretentious or very righteous of you.
Right.
But it's how I feel.
It makes sense, though. You know? It makes sense with the way you're working.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know?
And it actually can hinder you if you try and work a different way. Yeah. You know, because you think that that's capital W work by working that way, and that's wrong. Yeah. You know, everyone's trying to get to working like you're working. Right. You know, that's the ideal way in this crazy thing.
And that's one thing I'm so thankful for, is that, listen, it's the whole thing where it's like, oh, I started late and now I feel like I have less time on this earth or whatever it is, and being like. And I try to let go of that and be like, okay, this is when you started. And if you started when you were 21, who knows where the fuck you'd be right now?
Right.
You know, and I think that the life experience that I have only helps with, you know, what I can add to these jobs and to these characters. I just want to be as raw and real when it comes to this shit. Like, I want to hold on to the things. Like, I thought about taking speech classes because I can sometimes mumble words, or I sometimes don't enunciate clearly. But I think there's something in that.
Yeah.
I don't want, and I can tweak that if I have to, like, and that's kind of why I thought about taking voice class for a certain project where I need to speak a certain way, then I have that tool, right? But I don't, when it comes to just working in general, I don't want to lose that rawness.
Yes.
I can't. And I think in the beginning I was like, I want to be like that, and I want to try and like mold myself a certain way. And now I'm just realizing that authenticity is everything.
Yes.
And authenticity is everything when it comes to others' perception of you.
Yes.
And so all I ever want to do is be authentic. That's why I keep getting tattoos, because I'm like, this is who I am. This is who I've been my whole life. And I'm not going to stop being me for any fucking thing.
Yes.
You know? And I think people, the right people, will see that in you, and that they'll be drawn to you because of your, you know, authenticity.
What that is doing is, it's raising your own self, because that's what you're using when you act.
Exactly.
And if you're trying to get to authenticity, you're lifting that up. Yeah. And that is what you're using. You know, if you were hiding that, or you were trying to get rid of the tattoos, or you were just saying, I have to stop or whatever, you're diminishing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's actually not, you're not have access to your tool anymore then. Yeah. The ultimate access. I think this is important. It hasn't really been talked about in this way, man, on the show, really? I don't think. Yeah. Oh, wow. Because I think that's somehow, people think your actors play other people. And I don't know if that's necessarily true.
No, there's always part of you.
Right.
It has to be you.
You have to use you.
Yeah.
You have to use you, the instrument of you.
Yeah.
When you're doing playing these characters, and I think that's, and if whatever you need to do to grasp the instrument that is you
in a more comfortable and clear way is helpful.
Well, it all starts with you. I mean, in the beginning of the script, it's like you have to find how these words relate to you as a person, not the character. So like that's why I let it sit in the subconscious, because then it connects to me. And then once it starts moving into the conscious space, I feel like I can start connecting it to the character.
Do you know how important that is, what you just said there? Because a lot of people just, or maybe they don't. I know I do, and I would, if I was doing this work, would just be like, oh, I know this person. I know why they are saying this. They. Yeah. You know, or I know how to do this, or I don't know how to do this, or whatever. But this meaning play that person, instead of connecting the words to yourself first.
Has to be first, because you have to know the ins and outs of what these words mean, you know, and like what they mean to you, because that's where you ultimately have to connect through. Right. It's not being like, I'm this person and this is how this person feels, and like, but that's just for me, you know. Like everybody has their own. There's a myriad of processes that people have.
That's right.
But for me, it's I have to connect to myself first.
Yeah.
You know.
Then you're able to use it.
Yeah.
Bro, it's so amazing to have you on this show finally. I wish you all the best in this new year that's coming up. This is your year. 2024.
Thank you, man.
Spenser Granese, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure, for real.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.